Thanks for joining us. You'll have seen that more than 7 years after the Grenfell Tower fire, the official report into the tragedy has been published. The fire, of course, claimed 72 lives, and its repercussions spread far beyond London, raising widespread concerns over building safety. In a moment, we'll hear from residents of one tower block in this region. First, let's take a look at the main findings. The report says all 72 deaths were avoidable and people living there were badly failed. The government and others failed to give proper consideration to the dangers, and manufacturers were accused of systematic dishonesty, including Suffolk-based Celotex. There are still concerns over dozens of tower blocks in this region. In Essex alone, 12 buildings still have potentially unsafe cladding. Lee Milner has been to one block of flats in Basildon.
3,000 residents, 426 flats, most of them covered in cladding. Basildon's Morello Quarter blocks were deemed to pose a high risk to life after the Grenfell Tower fire in London.
You can see all the wooden balconies on the back there.
7 years later, residents say they're still waiting for remedial work to start.
So this could have been sorted quite a while ago for us. We were expecting to be remediated and have all of our repairs and changes to the building design, ultimately a concrete building with no combustible materials, covered by the government. Unfortunately, that was withdrawn from us when it was decided that actually the developer should pay if the developer's still in business. But sadly for us, the developer's just not willing to fund anything like the design that the government was willing to.
Western Homes says a new building safety regulator procedure has since been introduced, which means that it's had to make a very detailed application to carry out the works. This will be submitted in September, and as soon as the application's been accepted, work will start immediately. But in the meantime, residents like Jane, who regularly protests outside Western Homes, say they don't feel safe.
Imagine this for yourself, OK? You're living in your house or some place, and somebody comes along with liquid paraffin and starts painting the walls, the outside walls of your bedroom and your kitchen, and they say, you'll be all right.
So we've got a two-bedroom flat here.
And for Graham, who's lived here for 13 years, it's becoming expensive. His home insurance has risen from £850 to £1,300 over the last year.
The bottom line is I can't afford it. It's as simple as that. I'm relying on all the savings that I've had after 50-odd years of work. And of course, it's not just me, we've got other pensioners.
There are still buildings today with unsafe cladding. And the speed at which this is being addressed is far, far too slow.
This afternoon, the Prime Minister set out the government's plans for buildings like the one in Basildon following the Grenfell Inquiry's final report.
So this must be a moment of change. We'll take the necessary steps to speed this up. We will be willing to force freeholders to assess their buildings and enter remediation schemes within set timetables.
For those living inside Morello Quarter, every day they worry that history could repeat itself. Lee Milner, BBC Look East in Basildon.
Well, I'm joined now by Zoe Bartley, a campaigner for the End Our Cladding Scandal campaign. Evening, Zoe. What's your reaction to today's findings?
I don't think anyone who's followed along with Grenfell Inquiry or had any involvement in the building safety scandal or cladding crisis is surprised by the outcome of the inquiry today and the recommendations that have been set. It's what we've known for years, and we've just been waiting for the news to come out.
So as a resident in a similar situation, do you live in constant fear?
So I'm no longer living in a building affected, but I spent 4 years living in a building that we didn't at the time have any knowledge of whether the outside material was safe. It had HPL cladding on it, so that was a flammable type of cladding. And I know many other residents in buildings across the county and across the country who are affected, and they do live every day in fear.
Just how much of a drain is that for you all then, emotionally, and I suppose, you know, the cost side as well?
So I think of hearing from the Morello Quarter's residents, as you just did, you can see the financial impact it does have on people, but also the mental impact it has on people. It's not having that safety around your home, and it's also, you know, not knowing if you can move on with your life, being stuck in a property that potentially you can't sell, and you don't know when it's going to be made safe, how long that process is going to take. It just has a horrible impact on people.
So presumably you just feel your voices are not being heard.
No, and I think this has been the case for a long, long time. Residents are regularly ignored or belittled, made to feel like we're troublemakers and that we just try causing drama. Often your concerns just kind of flagged down as, it's not important, or it's hard to put into words, really.
I think I know your answer to this one, Zoe, but do you think anything will change as a result of today's hearing?
I'm sceptical, but I'm also hopeful. I do hope that the outcome of the hearing does bring about some change, but we've seen 7 years with no change, and previous successive governments just paying, just kind of bringing it up when it's in the news and then forgetting about it any other time of the year.
OK, Zoe, thanks ever so much for your time.
Thank you.